Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. In these special edition episodes of the Creative Lifebook interviews, I'll meet with co-authors of the book, the Creative Lifebook, and discuss with these authors their creative hacks. We will also touch on how the book has become a springboard for magic. In this episode, I'm connecting with artist Gabriela Ortiz. Do you go by Abby?
Gaby, Gabriela,
Gabby?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she's the author of Chapter 6, Embark on a Hobby-Seeking Journey. I'm your host, Caroline Karp, filming from my Clearwater, Florida studio this time. Let's get to it. The Creative Lifebook it's a book that is full of reflections on the art of living a fully expressed life. And it's written by Jessica Hughes with 65 thought leaders. They're wellness experts, artists, creatives. And the foreword is written by Dr. Joe Vitale. And so you can flip anywhere in this book and find just the most interesting things. And right here is Gaby's chapter 6. And Gaby, tell me, I've kind of read the book and I've flipped through it. Tell me about your very first hobby-seeking experience, and that'll be your springboard into what else you want to share with us.
Yeah, so I had just moved from Mexico. I'm from Mexico originally, and I had a job for one of the top companies here in the US, and I had just moved from Mexico, and I kind of decided that I was gonna start a new life, right? Like I wanted to be something different. I was in a new country. I had all these, different dreams that I really wanted to achieve. And I was working at a job that was really stressful. It was really just getting to me, and mentally I was just going home, going to work, going home, going to work. My family was in Mexico, so I was kind of alone, just starting to create my brand new group of friends, which most of them were all work related. So whenever we got together, it was a lot of work talk, and you just couldn't get away from it. I was working at work. I was working when I was partying because we were talking shop, and I was like, I can't do this. It was too much. And I decided I need a hobby, right? So I need to do something that is different. I was finding myself bringing all of the problems from work to home and rehashing conversations of stressful things that happen. Like I should have done this, I should have done that. And you just really can drive yourself crazy, doing the woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of thing. So I needed something really just to quiet my mind. And in this particular town that I was leaving, I found that there was a variety of classes. So I started just taking, I'm like, okay, what have I never done that piques my interest? And I had gone to a museum on one trip, and I kind of felt like I'm like, do I like art? Do I? Because I was like the brain, the math person, right, the process person in the family. My cousin was the creative. I was a methodic, and I had such pride, my lists and my processes. I was so proud of that, right? And I'm like, wait a second, do I have a soft spot for art? No, I'm not sure, right? So I'm looking at Las Meninas in Madrid.
Oh, I love that.
Like, I'm like Goya, and all of a sudden I felt like whoosh. I'm like, what is happening here? And then I went back. I came back from vacation, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna take a class. And so I enrolled in my very first painting class.
Nice.
And it was very refreshing. One, because I wanted the first thing, I'm like, this is so hard. Somebody give me a ruler. I want this to be straight. And what is the process? Like, this is mayhem. You can't just go and start painting. Like, I need the ABC, right? Like my mind wanted to put this into a Six Sigma process, and you couldn't, right? I'm like, so I felt this this resistance, and I said, I need this. If I'm resisting this that much, and this is so opposite from what I'm doing, I need to keep coming. There's something there. And that was like my very first experience with painting. And I didn't know if this was gonna be my thing. So on top of doing that, the following, this took like a year and a half. That's how blocked I was. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I want to sing. So I enrolled in singing classes, and someone invited me to sing in a choir. And I love that too. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really good at singing on my own, but if there's like 50 people around me sing, I can catch a tune, right? And so that was really good. And I did yoga. I went to a belly dancing class, like I took all of these things, I took separately from each other at different times. And I took the entire course. It wasn't like I went to one paint and twist thing.
Right.
It was like, okay, this is an 8-week course, and this is a 10-session course. You pay up front and you go to all of these yoga classes, and the belly dancing also, like 6 weeks, so it was really nice. I took violin too. The neighbors did not appreciate that at all. Neither did my neck. I'm like, okay, this is not for me. But yeah, so I started, I felt that I wanted to come back to painting. And, in some of the classes I dropped, but the painting just stayed. And that's just kind of like how I started to really engage into something more creative, and just really look forward to, my weekends and getting out of the office. And I knew I had something to go home to. When I was alone, I was missing my family. I had gone through like breakup, and this just kind of like became my refuge, really.
Nice.
And I mean, that's a short story of like the whole, unraveling of my painting as my main creative outlet. But yeah, it came out of necessity, basically.
So, everything you're talking about kind of reminds me of the chapter that I wrote, which is chapter 57, called The Art of Expressive Living, because it sounds like what you learned to do was live expressively, like just like everything, beyond your work life. Just you were soaking in new experiences, and it really is, it probably fed you and your art. And so when a reader picks up the book and they find your chapter, right, embark on a hobby seeking journey, that's exactly what you were doing. You were like, do I want to play the violin? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Like, no, I mean, I did. I listened to anything that piqued my interest. Like I was listening to the Bond Girls. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but they're like this group. I think it's 3 or 4 girls. They're like bombshells, right? And they play these classical tunes in a modern way, and they are strings, right? And I'm like, I want to be like them. Where's the class? I'm taking the class.
That's
My
great.
friend my friend was, how I got into the choir was like really funny, because my friend invited me. She was singing in a choir. I was like all sad because I just had a breakup. I just like, come to the bar. I'm here with the director of the choir and a few other people. We're just drinking, but like, come over. And so we're drinking and talking, and the director asks me, what is a Mexican national anthem? And of course, I like break into song, right? Because I had just had like 2 drinks or whatever. And I'm like, with my full lungs, just uninhibited. I'm like, this guy knows if you can sing, like, you know? And then he's like, oh, we're having auditions. You should come. And I'm like, oh, I should totally come. Like, meanwhile, I do not know, right? And so he invites me to come, and I go, and I'm rehearsing this song, like a shower song, something that you sing in the shower to yourself.
Right.
And clearly that's not what was going to happen. There's a guy with the piano, he's playing a note, and I'm supposed to hit that note, and I do not hit that note. I don't hit any of the notes. And the director tells me, well, I don't know if you're tone deaf, like if you can't hear, or maybe, I don't know, but I've heard you sing, so I know you can sing, but I don't know if you can hear very well. Why don't you stay, do this rehearsal with us and see how you like it? And of course I'm like, yeah, sure. I stay. I love it. I love everything about it. And he's like, well, did you have fun? I'm like, yes. He's like, well, keep coming back until you're not having fun. And I'm like, all right. I can bet that he was wishing he had never said that, because I kept coming back until, we had a performance, and we had the other performance, and I just kept coming back. It was really amazing, but I don't think I had like the talent required for that. So if he hadn't been so open to like, this is about fun, and that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
He wasn't concerned with, am I good? He heard that, I wasn't great, but I could mesh, right? But he's like, are you having fun? And so when I was doing all of this, this journey, it was like, is this fun? Is my painting great? Because
Right.
it wasn't. They were not. And do I belly dance the best? I was very self-conscious about my body. And the whole thing was about expressing yourself with your body, how belly dancing is really communication in the form of dance.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher was telling us, okay, now someone just gave a move to you. Now you have to give it back with your own move and create this language. So everything that I did, I just kept asking, is this fun? Does this feel good? That was it.
Good. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just kind of how I've been approaching this whole thing. Is this fun, and does it feel good? So I think that for listeners that are looking like for a hobby or something, like, not to get stuck in like, I don't know how to do it, I'm gonna look like a fool, it's embarrassing, I'm not gonna be good. I just say, no, you're not. If you've never done something, the first time you do it, you're not gonna be good, unless this is like the one hidden talent that you never discovered, and this is your one talent, which is like really hard that happens to people. But yeah, so just like have fun. And oddly, actually, I started doing so much better at my work. I started having better ideas, better ways to do things. I started finding solutions in my very methodic job that were out of the box. And I'm like, what? Does anybody else see how this relates to this, and how we can do it, and how it's much easier? And I actually started getting better jobs and started escalating in the company. And I really
into the creative
believe, yes, I believe that it was just that now I was operating with both sides of my brain versus just the analytical side that is trying so hard to do something.
Right.
And the other part that is more playful, more like there's less restrictions, right? You're always thinking, what do I have? What can I see? And the other part, the right side, doesn't need to see anything because it creates everything. And just fusing those together really just made me a much better everything. But if you're looking at, like, if you're a business person, totally changed my life, like 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I can compare it to is, and I'm not saying you're a kindergartner, but I do teach kindergarten age children, and they do what is fun. Like that's how they operate. They're like, is that fun? Yes, I'm going to do that. Is that fun? No, I don't want to do that. Like that's and they are joyous. Like they have so much joy.
Yeah.
Um, Gaby, where can people follow you? Where can they find you?
So I am on Instagram. I also have my own website. So my website is www.gabrielaortiz.com. So that's GABRIELAORTIZ.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Gaby Orzu. So that's GABYORZU.
And I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah. And so that's you can find my art. You can find my my art prints, and I'm coming up with new things possibly for next year that are going to be really, really good, with people that are really trying to break their burnout and break out of their cage, so to speak.
Like working with other people that maybe want to do the same thing that you did, perhaps.
Yeah, or maybe they want to stay in their own job and they just want to have this other life. They're ready for their second act. That's kind of like how I'm thinking. It's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to do with my life? I love the idea of the Renaissance woman that has many interests, and I think that is a way to go with life. It's like you should have many interests because we're all so multifaceted, and it's okay to want something different. Like, when I was growing up, all I wanted was to be a businesswoman because my parents were, and I found that really exciting, and it fueled me. And then one day it just fueled me no more, and I was just like checking the box. And I'm like, and I'm like, I have so much life to live. And the idea of staying another 15 years checking a box just felt like suffocating, And so I decided, I can check the box anytime, but I really have to try this. So I did, but it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but I think that living a fully expressed life, like what you talk about in your chapter, it really doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. I mean, it could be the way you prepare your coffee, the way you set your table, the way you put flowers on a vase. I mean, that is already fully living your life. It's fully expressed, like you can create the most beautiful avocado toast that you've ever seen, and it could be so artful, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just it's more about like how you move through life and how intentional you are with everything that you do, right?
Like
and
what
some
cup you
things,
choose.
yes,
your coffee out of.
Yeah,
as simple as that. Yep.
Yeah. And just looking at it and being like, hey, today this is how I'm going to express myself today, right? And some people do it through their clothing, and people don't realize that is expression, that is creativity as well, right? So yeah.
So if you had one more thing that you want your audience to hear about embarking on this hobby seeking
journey,
what would it be?
Don't take yourself too serious.
Don't
take yourself too serious, and take yourself too serious. It's like, have fun with it. It's not a test. No one's gonna fail you if you're not great, but also listen to yourself. Listen to what you like and not what other people think you should do. Because you're the one that's going through this trip, right? It's like you're dating yourself, and you want to take yourself on a date that you like, that you'll go back from this date and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Ask me out again. I want to do it again. You know, like just remember when you're like in love, or you came back from like a really good date and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see this guy again. I can't wait. You know, that's how you want to feel when you've, that's kind of like the barometer, or the, you know, how you want to feel, whether something is for you or not, right? And then give it time. Creativity needs time to breathe. Like you can't rush it. And the process, you can't rush it either. Don't give it one class, give it like a bunch of sessions to really decide, you know. There's no rush. There's no rush. There's infinite time.
I want to thank you so much for joining me, and thank you everybody out there for watching and listening as I share my love of fun, connection, collaboration, and art. It would be great if you were to subscribe to my channel by clicking the bell. And being a facilitator of conversation, I pose open-ended questions. In this case, all I had to do was read the chapter that each author is writing, and I'm going to try and tune in with as many authors as I can to hear about their life hack. And you can find this book on Amazon, the Creative Lifebook. And conversation just flows from there. Thank you again. And
thank you so much for having me. I'll see you around.
Bye.
Bye.